Hi, I'm David. So today's practice is going to get a little bit of everything. It's all going to be floor-based. You don't really need any special props aside from some stretchy clothing and some bare feet and potentially a yoga mat. I always like to start out these practices with some breathing exercises because they make you present and they also help to calm your mind. So we'll begin with that. So if you will, just go ahead and get set up in some comfortable cross-legged position. Once you've settled in, close your eyes for a little bit and redirect all of your focus to your breathing. And just pay attention to your inhales and your exhales. Now, your thoughts aren't going anywhere while you focus on the breath. At first, they might slow down, but they will certainly come back. So don't try to get rid of them. Just do your best to not focus on them. As you hone in on your breath, imagine that your thoughts were like automobiles in traffic. And just let them come and go. Focus on your breath and do your best to not interact. If at some point you just forget about your breathing, notice as quickly as you're able to and redirect. Lift your right hand up to your face and place the tip of the index and middle finger of your right hand between your eyebrows. Use your thumb to block the right nostril. Exhale all of your air. Breathe all the way in through the left. Breathe all the way out through the left. And self-paced, continue on. Huge inhales through the left. Huge exhales through the left over and over. Focus on the whispering sound created by your breathing. And should your thoughts go elsewhere, just notice and redirect. Few more rounds of deep inhale and exhale. And drop your hand to your lap. Breathe all the way in. Breathe all the way out. Once you've done so, return to your normal focus on your breath. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind someone you'd like to dedicate today's practice to. Send your person some good energy mentally. All right, when you're ready, open your eyes. Today we'll start with some hip stretching from your back. So just go ahead and work around to a reclining position on the ground. And once you're fully laying down on the floor, bend your legs and plant your feet flat on the ground. Now, this one is called the reclined pigeon, Supta Ekapada Rajakapotasana, or sometimes a figure four. Cross your right ankle over your left leg, so your right leg forms a figure four-like shape, something close to a 90-degree angle. And then use your right hands to press your knee away from the body, which will give you some stretch in your right hip. If you're not feeling enough stretch, you can intensify with a belly crunch. Crunch up and look at your legs. Then thread the needle. Reach your right arm through the space you've created, like you were threading a sewing needle. Grab your left shin or hamstrings, truly either or, and then recline backward onto the mat. Now, very important for your head to be on the ground in this one, otherwise your neck will feel strange. So if you're not able to accomplish that, practice the one with your left foot on the floor and your right hand pressing the knee away. If you're in the figure four and your head is on the earth, squeeze your shoulders back in together. Draw your left knee toward your chest. Then press your right knee away from your body until you get enough resistance. And then just focus on the sensation of stretching to stay present. And at the same time, be aware of your breath. All right, unlace your fingers and let your leg come down. Once you've done so, cross your other leg over. Left ankle crosses over. It's a good stretch, this. If you want to modify, use your left hand to press your knee away from the body. As you do that, you'll oftentimes feel stretch in your left glutes. Sometimes it's easier to thread the needle if you belly crunch up to shorten the space between torso and leg. So if you're going for the second option, thread the needle with your left hand. Grab your right leg in approximately the same position that you did on the previous side and recline backwards. If you're in the figure four, squeeze your shoulders back in together just to open up your heart a little bit. The shoulders tend to glide forward in this one. Squeezing them back will open your chest. And curl all 10 toes back so your ankles remain relatively active. And press outwards through your heels. Now pull the right leg back towards you as you press your left knee away until you feel resistance in your hip. Mindfully focus on your body and mindfully focus on your breath. All right, release your legs and take your feet all the way back down to the floor. This time, walk your feet all the way together so you can feel their inner borders touching one another. Now, like you're opening some magazine, let your knees splay out to the sides. Roll onto the blade edge of either foot and try to find a positioning where the heels of your feet as well as the balls of your feet can remain in contact. This one is a great gravity-assisted hold. You slide your hands down toward your legs, let your hands rest on your inner thighs, and give them some weight. If that's too much stretch, you can always let your hands rest near your side. What you're looking for here is a stretching sensation across your inner thighs. Try to pause your breath at the end of your exhales for about 5 seconds or so. And in that pause, just let everything get really, really leaden and heavy. Normal inhale and normal exhale after the pause, and over again. Now pause at the end of your exhales. And remove your hands from your legs. Squeeze your knees all the way together. And once you've done so, roll over onto the left hand side of your body. And prop yourself up on your left elbow. The elbow should be right under your armpit or just a little bit ahead. You just want a supportive pedestal-like shape. Now reach down and grab your right foot or your ankle if you can reach it. And then press your right foot all the way back to the wall behind you to stretch your hip flexors and quads. As you do that, it's most likely that your ribs will flare out into a back bend. So try to tuck your ribs down in the front. And keep kicking back through your heel. And breathe deeply as you hold that. Let go of that side. Once you've done so, just flip over onto your other side. And take a moment to prop yourself up on your right elbow. Its placement isn't the most important thing. Just make sure that it's supportive so you can be propped upright. Draw your knees towards your chest so your legs are bent to approximately 90 degrees in relation to your spine. Then grab your left foot and kick your foot all the way backwards to the rear. A little rib flare and back bend is to be expected at first, but try to take that out by really tucking your ribs downward and in, and keep kicking backwards. And deep, slow, and rhythmic breath. All right, let go of the foot. And once you've done so, press all the way up to a seated position. From that seated position, cross your legs in some comfortable way. And we're going to side bend your spine. So reach your left hand over to the side. Your right arm straight upwards in the air. Now from that position, lean over to your left and try to take your palm to the floor. Press the earth away to create a C-shaped curve through your spine. And then reach strongly through your right fingertips until you feel space opening between your ribs. Deep, slow breaths. If you're having a hard time straightening the elbow, take the back of your hand upwards toward the ceiling just a little bit. Reach long through your fingertips until you feel length in your arm. Use an inhale to come up. Cross your legs so that the other one goes in the front. And then walk your right hand over to the side, upward onto your fingertips. If it's difficult to get your palm to the floor, that's okay. You can stay on your fingertips, but press the earth away from your body to put a big C-shaped curve in your spine again. And add a little weight to the mix. Reach your left arm up and then over your head. Now sometimes if the elbow comes close to the head, the arm starts to bend, so take the back of your left hand toward the roof. Maybe even look up to see that your arm is straight, and then stretch out through the fingertips of both hands. And keep breathing into that stretch. Use an inhale to come all the way up. Slide your right leg diagonally out to the side and draw your left foot toward your right inner thigh. And just check into that foot. Make sure that your big toes point straight upwards toward the ceiling. Rotate toward your right leg. Initially take your left hand to your knee and plant your right fingertips on the floor outside of you. And tuck your ribs down just gently so your torso is very compact. And then lean from your hip crease forward. Once you feel stretched in the back of your leg, take up the slack that you've created in your left arm by walking your hand further down your leg. And if you get to the point where you can reach the foot, feel free to grab hold because that'll give you a little more stretch in your back. Though grabbing your shin is absolutely okay instead. Make sure your spine stays relatively long as you keep leaning forward into it. If you get to the point where your belly and chest are resting closer to your thigh, you can always curl your chin to your chest and take your forehead closer to your kneecap below. Otherwise, if your chest and belly are pretty far away from your leg, you get a more effective stretch by lengthening your spine instead. And use your next inhale to come all the way back up. Switch your legs position. You want the left one out and the right leg in. Now, with the legs shooting out at a diagonal, you get some rotation and a deeper stretch in your trapezius muscles up here in the back. So start out gently. Just take your right hand to your left knee. Steeple your left fingertips over there on the side. Now, when you sit up really tall, sometimes that'll thrust your ribs out and send you into a back bend. You'll get a more effective hamstring stretch for now if you tuck your ribs down a little bit. Hinge from your hip crease just like a door hinge. And just stop at the pause. Wherever your body feels locked, just stop. And with no force or strain, walk your fingertips down your leg toward your ankle. If you happen to be able to grab your foot, go for it. Now you've got the bottom rim of your ribs here. As you lean forward, if that makes contact with your legs, then it's safe to round the spine very gently like the lens from a pair of sunglasses. If you're going for that variation, curl your chin to your chest and try to touch your forehead to your knee. Otherwise, if your ribs are really away from your thigh, focus on lengthening out to the top of your head instead. Either way, you get a really good and effective stretch. And I use an inhale to come all the way back up to the top and out of that one. Plant your hands near the front of your mat and come back to a 4-pointed kneeling stance with shoulders directly above your hands. Next, we're going to thread the needle together. So sweep your right arm across your center line and take your shoulder all the way down to the floor. Let the side of your head rest on the floor so you don't have to work at all to keep your head upright. And then for the next few moments, press down with your left hand and just let gravity twist and rotate your spine. Press down to come all the way up and out. Thread the needle. Sweep your left arm across your center line and take your head to the floor on that side. And again, just twist things out. Press down to come all the way upwards and outwards. Now walk your hands forward toward the front of your mat and straighten your arms. Now with your arms straight, kind of like you're doing a downward dog with your knees on the floor, let your chest and armpits sink closer to the earth. Now you can stay a little higher up there like me if you like. Otherwise, if your elbows come closer to the floor, you can place your forehead on the ground or potentially the chin and just let your body's weight sink down. And breathe deeply as you stretch your shoulders and extend that middle section of your spine. Now round your spine to lift your elbows up. Roll your hips all the way down to the ground and take your elbows to the earth so that you sort of look like a sphinx. Now parallel your forearms so that the right arm goes in front of the left. Make sure your arms are parallel to the front of your mat. Begin walking your arms further over to your sides. Make sure that you keep your arms under your collarbones and the head of your breastline. And then once your arms have fully crisscrossed and your arms sort of look like dragonfly wings, lift your chest higher for less stretch, or sink your chest down on top of your arms for more stretch. And breathe. For the second side, lift your chest off of your arms, slide your arms a bit apart, and then place the other arm there in the front. Same position. Walk your hands all the way over to the sides. You might find more resistance on one side of your body than the other, so just sort of take note. But try to keep your back leveled with the ceiling by rolling your chest around and down. And sink onto your arms again. Lift your chest up. Come back to the Sphinx position with forearms parallel and elbows under the armpits. Now press your elbows down into the floor. Lift your collarbones and your chin. And bend that whole middle section of your spinal column again. If it's really uncomfortable to take your head back, it's always okay to look directly forward. If you do it like that, just press the rear of your skull backward toward the wall and you get a little more lift in your chest. Roll yourself all the way back down to the earth. Use your knees and press all the way up to a four-pointed kneeling position. Stack your shoulders right above your wrists. Round your back like a cat. Press your hands down and curl your chin to your chest. And then pull the front of your pelvis up towards your chin just a little bit more. Lift your tailbone, your chest, and your chin. And finally, just alternate back and forth. Use your exhales for the rounding. And your inhales for the arching. All right, finishing your last round of that. Roll all the way over onto your hips. This time, slide your legs forward and bend your legs in the front. I'll do this from the profile in case it's easier for you to see that way. Once your legs are bent, plant your hands on the floor behind you with your fingers sort of facing sideways. Squeeze your shoulders all the way back and together. Bend your elbows a little bit to keep them from hyperextending, and then just lift your chest upwards toward the ceiling. If you want a slightly deeper stretch, tuck your ribs down in the front, slide your hips further out toward your heels, and then bend your elbows again to keep the pinch out of them. Lift all the way up through your collarbones and your chest, and potentially straighten both legs completely forward. And then squeeze your shoulders back and together as you continue to hold. Last side all the way back up. And when you're ready, return to the cross-legged position that you began with. And let your eyes close and just scan throughout your whole entire body. Sense any differences in body sensation, your emotions, your inner feelings. And all those various currents of energy flowing through your body. Free to flow and open. Then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practice to. Either pray for or wish for their happiness and their health. And take a moment to be thankful for the gift of another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.